In my mind, his Hebo was what really kept the game going more than anything.
Well, it's going to have to make a bounce back. They got a rough start to last game. And if you remember, one of the issues that Bagon was having was that his beads were never up. And Gore, his beads aren't even up now. You want to know why? Because he started Blink. Even Panatom, who is the jungler with Pele, said they've got too much CC for me to one Blink. I'm gonna get beads. And Pagon said, I didn't get to play the game in game number 1. I'm getting Blink. I'm getting involved. Might even blink in right now. We might see some action towards Dardes on the Morgan. But without Panatom having double Pyroclast available, not your best call to blink for. You don't have much kill potential. Maybe like a level 3 option. Either way, does not have the beads, which means Dardes might have some good 1v1 potential at level 5. I honestly think just turning into Hebo could be a nice idea. If you hit the stun, transform, knock up, crushing wave, you're usually going to win that trade if you can find him quickly. But Pagon, it seems to me this Relic choice says, I want to get aggressive, right? I want to be the one initiating fights. I'm not going to let a Morgan just walk up to me stealth.
It's going to be interesting. Look, we have seen Blink Hebos early on. Granted, we just saw Beads Raijin get bullied all to hell, so realistically, like you said, maybe it is this balance of, you know what, I had beads last time and it didn't mean anything, so I'll just avoid it this time around. But we've seen Blink Hebos that have gone with a pretty insane, at least amount of damage early on. Kill count would look good. We've also seen Blink Hebos get bullied into oblivion and have a non-existent impact on the game. And so, Pagon, really hoping for the former if he gets his way. Sot, though,
the silence!
is the one who's under trouble. The silence is good in first blood. It's fast this time, but it's on Lasbra the same as he finds the last auto onto Sot in the right-hand lane, and Panatom just has to watch as the two take out his solo laner.
Man, Nika has been on point. This Amaterasu, the silences last game were so impactful. I mean, CC has been the core of the Jade Dragon strategy this whole set so far. It's only been 2 games, but it's only continue so. Catching out the hammer there, Sot didn't have beads. He had no way to retreat in first blood, going over to Lasbra. Once again, I mean, last game was a Serket, this time on the Camazots. That means that Dardes also has a pretty good transformation. Because if you were going to turn into Pele, yeah, you've got that option. But Lasbra should be finishing some of these items quickly, get access to that ultimate. Could be some 1v1 potential. All good things for the Jade Dragons. How long did it take for first blood last time? It was pretty early on, right? It was before level 5 because Pagon just dashed into those mid camps. But this time, Lasbra said, hey, I don't care about the Hebo. I'm going in for the Thor over in right lane.
Yeah, last game, first blood, pretty quick. Second blood, actually also pretty quick, right? Because it was within the same beats timer.
Yep.
It was every other kill that happened that game. That took a little while to get online. And so we'll see what kind of pace the Dragons set here. I mean, honestly, it feels, and you know, call me out if I'm just misremembering, but I feel like we don't get to see Camazots really on the early game first bloods too often. It feels like he's usually picking that pace up around like level 12, let's say, towards the mid game. When we really get to see it. And a lot of that, admittedly, wasn't Lasbra facilitated. It was really Nika facilitated.
Yep, 100%.
But it does feel nice to see Lasbra kind of taking that same level of play from the Serket onto the Camazots.
Yeah, there's no way that kill ever happens if Nika doesn't catch the silence. Camazots just has no form of CC that is going to kill SOT there. If he hammers out, the gank is dead. So that was all a kill facilitated by Nika. But if Lasbra's not there, it doesn't happen. So I think it's great teamwork from both of them.
They should have high-fived afterwards.
I would have if I was them personally. At the very least, little knuckle touch, right? Little knuckle touch to keep the vibes up. But now, Nika's gonna have a little bit of a lead in lane. Got that assist. Was able to upgrade that teleport very early on. Pick up a chalice, which is so nice for sustain, right? Ama already has fantastic sustain, whereas Sot, I mean, he's relying on these health pots. He's gonna take a little bit of damage, trying to poke out, trying to clear waves, things like that. So you need about 4 points into your double tap before you're successfully clearing archers, which means no Gauntlet of Thebes just yet. A little bit of scrap in the jungle, but 1v1s versus Pele and Camazot seems to me like, let's do a bit of damage and then one of us is just going to ult out. So I think it's probably smart that no one really commits to fights like that. I just want to watch Dardes and Pagon because, you know, with the Morgan, there's a Chernobog on the field. Global presence has to be brought up. At any moment, Dardes can turn into Vote. Vote can be Vote. And they both just ult over to the right side of the map, ult over to mid, ult really anywhere. With that being said, there's still a Hebo on the map with Blink. So, aggression or the target of aggression. Both could be looked at.
I know Cherno and Pele have been a huge conversation point, both of them this game. Over the last, 3-4 days now.
Yep.
Which has been because 100% pick ban. They're either getting knocked out early or they're getting locked in almost instantly. And we've seen a lot of success, and we'd have to check, or I would have to check, the individual game count for Chernobog. But it feels like in mid, he's done pretty well. And over in the carry role, I don't even want to say half and half. I think he's done pretty well as well. I just have one game that stands out in my mind. Wasn't too hot for him. Green buff invade attempt. Unsuccessful there from the Warriors. And we haven't gotten any of those rotations just yet, Trelly. We also, admittedly, and maybe this is because it's Camazotz of all people and not exactly the Ares, and the way the meta has shifted, I was thinking with a Blink Hebo, you see a little bit more in mid, or I would expect a little bit more in mid. But you had mentioned it earlier, Camazotz no CC, and because of how long supports have been staying over there, there's a good chance Pagon will hit 12 and be able to pick up the beats before Mike even makes a rotation.
I mean, that's what I would expect, right? Mike, the only value you're bringing, and the reason that Pagon probably isn't, blinking in on a dart as looking for an ultimate is because that chance of just turning into Ares or Mike making a rotation in and just getting a pull in for free is a bit scary. Genetics doesn't have any sort of beads, but are you looking for a kill onto him is the question. No, missed the opportunity. It's not going to find a pull back in. With 3 there, I mean, you could have double Ares at that point, and you're guaranteed a kill on a Terra. You got 6 different chains. I'm thinking it's going to be a while before Genetics can really dash out. The Jade Dragons didn't feel like forcing that fight. They do just end up backing up for now. But I think that's the fearful, right? You've got Blink, you have the aggression, but you only get that one form of CC immunity, and you never know when or what Darda is going to transform into. Because of that, the Oni Warriors are stepping forward. Not really looking for fights, though. Trying to steal away farm more than anything.
Lasber takes a little poke from a double hammer. Sot. The good wall separates the Dragons from the rest of the Warriors. It's a Brawlers early on here from Lasber to deal with some of the healing that's going to come from Genetics a little bit later on. It's just the Jotuns. The other side from Panatom is going to try to get something done, but the dash is good from Nika, not blocked off. And so the Pele, not yet on the board kill-wise. Still, the only thing that's happened has been the pressure onto Sot. Trelly, you had mentioned the teleport upgrade a little bit earlier, and I think right now that is still one of the big separators. Looking for a return kill, forcing out the dazzling offensive. Stun good on the Sot from Nika. And that is going to pry some success away from the Warriors. Give it over to the Dragons. Gets under the tower. Fine and safe. Genetics looks for a route in mid. But the Warriors want to fight, and that's what I'm getting out of this right now. Mike could be the one to go forward. If he grabs Pagon, you have to use your ult to try and find immunity there, and that would be a way you don't necessarily want to use it. The Warriors, despite fishing for the attempt, were unable to find anything.
You get a rotation in from Sot, and that's the issue with the Ares pick, right? If you don't have that blink, even if you have the perfect opportunity to find an ult, you gotta walk up slowly, hope no one realizes what you're going for, and that no escape. While a pretty big area, it's still difficult to find. Just trusting your movement speeds. Maybe at level 12. Mike picks up that blink. Initiation gets a little bit easier. We saw how many attempts to gank Nika. I mean, this Amaterasu isn't the safest pick at times, but even with a stun into a knockup, Panatom didn't feel like Volcanic Lightning would have net anything. You got to hit that actual target. You got to hit the slow, and Nika's very quick on this Ama, so surviving 2 different ganks just fine. Going to be a little bit of an issue because of how much time Panatom spent on the right side of the map. At the very least, Lasbra is actually behind in XP, hasn't been able to find that same level of farm, even with Panatom wasting some time over on right. It looks like we'll finally see a little bit of action here. Pagon doesn't really care anything. He's stepping forward onto Lasbra.
Yeah, it goes for the knock up, the ult just off the mark, bat out of hell. Gets the distance Lasbra needed to make sure that doesn't connect. And now Pagon, he's in trouble. So many ults used, but it does not matter. A kill is a kill, and the Dragons put a second one on the board.
Yeah, that crushing wave needed to connect there onto Lasbra. Not sure if it would have absolutely deleted him. The water hands might have had to hit after, but bat out of hell was able to get Lasbra out of trouble. And then, just for the troubles, Nika makes that rotation in with Vote just to confirm first blood going the way of the Jade, or second kill rather, going the way of the Jade Dragons. I forgot. We already saw that kill on the Sot early on. But with 2 kills, we were talking about Beacon Spawn. That was the big rotation last game. You'd think that there's going to be another fight coming soon in about 2 minutes, exactly where Panatom is standing. Sot, as long as he's got his hammer, will be all right here. Is able to get out of trouble. But that's the call. Solo lane has been a big rotation point. Nika going mid has 2 assists already, so that's been a part of all these kills so far. Doesn't seem like that's going to be a problem.
Mike, no ult. Chain's still good. Panatom, Genetics, looking to chase him down and lock him down. The Ares has no problem. Now he's got Dardes over here. Dardes still a transformation. And knowing that the Ares was there, you've got no beads for Pagon, no beads for Genetics. Could always see a transformation from the Morrigan into the Ares to cause a lot of trouble. And Trelly, if anything, that's actually maybe some of the balancing point. We always talk about Ares where it's like, oh, well, your ult's going to be back up before their beads are back up. You just got to make sure you use it. Mike doesn't even have to stress about it half the time, because if they really want it, Dardes could be the go-to for it. Purple buff invade, successful over there on left. Ult used by Netroid, beads. No, ult used instead by Panatom as well to avoid the pull-in from PBM. And that is the strength of an Ares ult.
Those ults down. A fight the next minute or so will be impactful for the Jade Dragons, just because Netroid and Panatom don't have that level of CC, that level of damage. Which does coincide with that beacon spawn we've been talking about, but it really does depend. I think it's a flow thing. You know, the team has to decide, hey, are we feeling like we're comfortable fighting here? Can we step forward? Dardes still does have that transformation, so trying to capitalize on some of those ults being down is something the Jade Dragons could go for. Do the Oni Warriors feel as if they're confident enough to step forward into an actual 4v4 or even a 5v5 if some of these teleports get used? Sot does not have his available. There is no teleport. He's going to have to book it over on foot. Whereas Nika, he could teleport in as the Dazzling Offensive. That's his second relic as well. This Ama could make an impactful rotation the second this wave is done.
That's been, honestly, some of the devastating parts. Good knock-up, good damage this time from Pagon. I was wondering, is he going to wait out the blink cooldown to go back in? But no ult. Nika's going to be rotating in. This beacon fight looks like it might be a little more one-sided. Same for this fight over on left. Panatom is over here, has ult again. Nika teleports in to help out Vote. He's going to go for the cutoff path, pick up Panatom in the jungle. Stun not going to connect thanks to the ult from the Pele. Beacon still being fought over. Genetics has 1 bar of the beacon capped out. And now it's going to be a little bit more as Sot joins them. They don't have a lot of damage though, and the Dragons have the full force. All 5 versus 3. Blink. Beads on cooldown for 40 seconds here for Pagon. And halfway charged. It's the beacon for the Dragons. Genetics changed down. That's going to lock up the Terra pretty easily. Vote goes up. Vote comes down. Damage is good. The rest of the teams respawn into the wall. Goes the Chernabog. Jumps down, and it's perfect timing from Sot to help get the damage. Vote still alive, but Pagon shows up, and Pagon gets the job done. No escape from Mike, pulls in 2, but the Warriors have scattered the Dragons. Health bars are low. Bat out of health, forced out of Dardes. He retreats under tier 1. Pagon, knock up, water hands, gets exactly what you need in terms of damage, creates the space, is looking for a kill onto Nika, forces him back in the red health bar. Duo lane for the Dragons gone. Beacon goes the way of the Warriors.
Wow, that was just really clutch there from Netroid. I mean, Vote flies in, has his relics available, thinks he's just fine, goes into the wall, and then Sot comes through and says, hey, the pillar has closed off your options. There's only one way that Vote's going to be able to dash out of this wall. They find the clutch stun, and they pick up their first kill, which turns into just a little bit more. The Oni Warriors finally showing some life back into this game. And I thought getting Pagon's ult down would have been the one fight, to be honest. I mean, you see, Panatom said, hey, we're not even able to get that beacon. I'm going to gank left lane. That's how this whole thing begins. Vote is trying to survive underneath this tower. Nika even teleports in to help out the ADC, and Pagon doesn't have ultimate. That should be curtains, right? If Mike is able to close gap, if Dardes was able to close gap, someone was pulling back in this Hebo with no beads, with no ult, but they just stalled it out perfectly. They're able to wait, use some poke damage that Netroid and Pagon and Panatom were able to provide, and some good double taps even from Sot. Because of that, the beacon doesn't go down. The fight goes the way of the Oni Warriors off of a great pick on to Vote. Now this game's closer. I mean, it's closer to even, I was going to say. They are ahead by a wide margin, just thanks to some split pushing in some towers. The Oni Warriors showing some life in this game.
Almost 2,000 gold. But it's getting to the 2,000 mark right now that has been impeding the Warriors. Pyromancer started by Lasbra, Nika, Mike. Gonna rotate over to help him. Genetics has eyes on it. 5 of the Warriors are about to rotate in. The Dragons do confirm the Pyro. Genetics now deep. Goes in with a stun. Miss from Sot. But the 5 Warriors are not to be deterred. They let the Runic Bomb get picked up there by Nika, who goes in, looks for a silence, goes for the Dazzling Offense. The Dragons now trying to turn things around, and a wall from Sot blocks some of the damage coming out from Pagon. Instead, they've turned things around. It's Netroid who goes down and trade for Nika. Pagon pulled in a massive ult from Mike, but the follow-up, the damage, it's not there. Panatom goes for the knock-up. But like Mike, does not have the follow-through from the rest of his team. 1 kill pickup on either side, and Trelly, and we move the bars a little bit further forward with that Pyromancer. The Dragons eat away a little bit at the Warriors' gold lead.
Wow, I mean, what a scrap. The 1-for-1, the Pyromancer does go down. Unfortunate for Sot, that wall does end up juking out Pagon's ultimate. He just ults right into the wall. Gets pulled back in by Mike, but the follow-up was already gone. I think the big difference was Dardes. That transformation didn't seem to get as much value as he would have hoped. This Morgan pick does scale very well into the late game, but so far, just not able to get enough value just yet. The Gold Fury is still available. That's something that both of these teams have their eyes on. But it seems like it's the Jade Dragons who are taking a defensive positioning. They're backing up. Nika has spent a lot of his time just split pushing, not really zoning if possible. Saying, hey, I'm trying to get to level 20 as quickly as I can. I'm Amaterasu. I farm. And he gets a tier 2. I mean, Sot just goes for blue buff instead of defending this. He recognizes it's going to go down eventually. Why not? Just go in for the free farm if possible. Not even free. Lasbra makes sure that Sot can't pick it up.
I don't know about you. I just got some massive deja vu seeing Nika split pushing a tier 2, especially while, you know, the team's just kind of vibing everywhere else. Lasbra, like you said, ruins Sot's hopes and dreams. Maybe that's a little too heavy-handed. His hope of getting that blue buff.
Sot does dream of blue buffs, I'm sure of that.
Honestly, I wouldn't. You could tell me that of any solo laner, I'd believe it. Dardes
is alive?
Is alive, turns things around. I can't believe this one hit was all that was needed. But CC and the pull in from Mike puts Pagon in the dirt. A great play from the Dragons to save their mid laner.
I mean, we were both so nonchalant about that because it looked like such a free kill, right? It seemed like Pagon's going to just pop his one, Dardes is going to fall down, but the peel and the silence coming through. Nika and Mike know how to keep their mid laner alive. Easy kill there. Shouldn't have been, but ends up being so. And now Lasbra blinks and immediately gets impaled. Detroit tells him to sit down, and now he's going to jump forward. Lasbra just got immediately punched in the face.
I mean, that's 2 plays in a row from both teams, realistically, that just go to show, look, man, you're good at this game, but we are too. You have to be careful. Netroid, I mean, hits him with the on-her combo you need. The impale against the wall is beautiful. Dardes putting some damage down with Nika. You have to remember the shred an Ama can provide, and between the 2 of them, Sot has to fall away. Beacon's going to open up relatively soon. Gold Fury, though, is the Warriors' charge. Dragons, they're too late to the party, and the Warriors pick that one up, start to push this lead back towards 2K.
They certainly do, man. I'm still amazed that Lasbra makes that play because he had beads, man. He was taken back by that damage as we were. And maybe the reaction time of Netroid to just immediately impale him into the wall ends up keeping the rest of his relics, though. So it's just the blink. Has Bat Out of Hell, has the beads available. There's a ward on the beacon, but it looks like the Oni Warrior's going to be able to grab this one uncontested. I'm amazed that Nika was able to split push that much, grab the tier 2, and is still only level 16, right? I expect him to be top farm on the map with how much he's been alone on the right side. But he also has made some very impactful rotations. Maybe he hasn't spent as much time in lane as it would appear. It's actually Panatom sitting at level 18, top farm on the map. It's Pele. 0-0-3, but certainly still a threat in the right situation. This Pyromancer has spawned back in. Oni Warriors already going for their pull.
Nika, I would argue, one of the saving graces for the team right now because he goes in and steals the Pyro from the Warriors. In with the damage there, the sprint, the shielding, tries to get out, but the Warriors chase him down, kill him off. Mike now trying to run away. Good wall from Sot, surrounded by 5. It's going to be a double kill, and that is the power of the Warriors comp as a full force. They're going for the Fire Giant. Vote has ultimate, but is on the left side. Split push. Lasbra spots this out. Dardes is going to know about it. Trelly, the question is, can you go for a steal?
Well, Dardes probably can. His beats are already down. Sot looking for the 1v1. It's only Lasbra who can really step forward, but Panatom is playing zone duty.
Lasbra has the Bat Out of Hell, leaps forward, makes it in there. Bat Out of Hell charged. They're holding the Fire Giant damage, and it's not going to be a steal this time. Lasbra has to blink away to get out, but it's 5 strong for the Warriors. FG buff shining on their belts.
Teleport comes through from Nika. The chase is not going to continue. The Oni Warriors are going to play this one safe after using every ultimate they have to make sure that Fire Giant goes down in the fight previously. They're going to group up and start pushing down right. Remember, Vote did not join that fight. He decided to just push left and grab that tier 2, which he did grab. So some extra gold in the pockets of the Jade Dragons. Their defense, honestly, if they can get their relics and their ultimates up, doesn't look too bad. Maybe that's the reason they're stepping forward. 4v5 for the time being because Lasbra is pushing up mid lane. They're trying to stall this one out. I understand. You want that cooldown to go as quickly as possible. 3 minutes left on Fire Giant. Doesn't seem like an actual team fight will occur. More so just stalling. Again, there's not a Kamazat's here.
Tier 2. That's where the pressure's been from the Warriors. Last few autos don't connect. Genetics, Netroid. Grabbed by No Escape. Pulled in only on Genetics, who has to stay alive in the back. Low health. Tier 2 goes down. Panatom leads the way for his team. Chains do a lot of damage, but Netroid makes sure to secure it. Sot goes dunking in deep. Eats a lot of his health for his troubles. Forces the Dragons to fall back. The Phoenix is defended. And Trelly, it's these tier 2s, those towers just now, and in fact the entire mapscape has changed dramatically over the last couple of minutes. But the towers, realistically, from the Dragons, the split push from Nika earlier, and then from Vote just a few minutes ago, is part of the reason that this game is still within 2,000 gold. They're finding those small pockets, plus that steal. You have to give them credit. Nika gets a massive steal for the Pyromancer. It really is these sometimes large but sometimes small plays that the Dragons are doing that have made this so it's not really that big of a runaway for the Warriors yet.
Yeah, I don't hate the split push, but what I didn't really understand is why Lasbra made the call that he's not grouping up for that fight, right? And Nika goes in and says, hey, I'm just going to use Dazzling Offensive, sort of push them away, see what we can get done. But then Mike goes in, goes for an ultimate. He ends up getting picked there. If the call was to give up the tier 2, why did they go so hard for the fight? And once again, Lasbra's nowhere to be found.
Genetics goes in first. Nika, Dazzling Offensive
He's
to the
dead.
back. Helps find Genetics, burns down the support. And now, I mean, Sot, you're tanky, but I just don't know that this is going to be enough, not tanky enough, to withstand the damage of a Phoenix and 5 Dragons. So you have to be careful. Netroid even accidentally walling Sot off, and now Sot's been chained. That actually might be a big deal. Hammer is good for the disengage.
Lasbra.
Lasbra, is he going for the loop or are they going for the primal? That's the question for the Dragons here. I think it depends a lot on the Warriors' positioning. Wall doesn't connect from Sot. Netroid, they're hanging around Trelly. They might actually even want to go for a steal or go for the fight. Sot getting burned, has to play carefully, is not. And that's going to be a kill over towards Lasbra, forced into the wall for Vote, who's low health. Can Panatom find him? Has the chase, gets what he needs, but Lasbra's got a double. He gets to the back, and he helps get rid of Pagon, helps get rid of Netroid. And like that, the Warriors crumble under the pressure from the Dragons.
I mean, this Ares pick, Mike is going absolutely nuts in this matchup so far. Gets a free kill onto Genetics to start this fight because, oh yeah, this Terra, who has no form of CC immunity, doesn't have beads, doesn't have Magi's, doesn't have Absolution. There's no way that Genetics isn't getting pulled every single time. Translate that into Sot, who just wanted to walk forward and try and go in for a double tap to steal that Gold Fury. Immediately gets triple chained, pulled back in. No ultimate available. Sot goes down. I mean, Mike is just absolutely frying on this Ares pick. It's the only reason that the Jade Dragons have been able to slow down the push of the Oni Warriors. Fearful of beads, don't want to use your ultimate for CC immunity because Mike's there. He doesn't have blink. He doesn't need it apparently. He just walks forward, sprints his team in, sprints them out. These chains and these ultimates have been so impactful for the team fight.
And honestly, the lockdown is just the first, I guess, line of defense, not even the damage that's coming from Mike, alongside the fact that the lineup for Nika, for Dardes, for Vote even, who might not even be the highest on the player charts. In fact, outside of the supports, he's actually on the bottom. but it has been impactful alongside his team.
He got Phantomed that fight. I'll cut him some slack. I saw him hiding in the wall, and Phantom's just sitting there with the volcanic lightning autos procced and ready. He already dashed.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, "You come out. I'm gonna hit you with some big volcano damage, man."
And realistically, look, just like 1,600 damage above him is Lasper. And Lasper's 4-1 and 2, so we know who's last hitting here.
It's a low damage game, to be honest. I mean, 15K at 25 minutes for Pagon, and that's pretty much it. It's just, I think everyone's very close, and
Yeah.
that is a good sign. My only issue currently is how Genetics is going to play these team fights. You know he wants Magi's or Absolution at some point. But so far, he's just getting pulled in every single time, and it was working for a bit where he was tanky enough to survive, but now the Jade Dragons have the DPS where they can burn through this Terra as long as they have enough anti-heal. And Mike even goes for the Sprout, the Entangling Wing, so once he procs that sprint, he's going to root everyone near him, pretty much guaranteeing those chains are going to connect.
Phantom silence, dazzling offense used by Nika, tries to go for the stun, but instead eats a lot of damage. In fact, Slot chasing down to get a little extra out there. Netroid, the ult's just a little short, does not have the damage now, no CC. Pagon caught out, uses the ult to disengage.
He's dead.
No beads pulled in, and it will be a kill right there. Genetics. It's already low, needs a little bit of help to try and get out of here, but Lasbra bat out of hell. The chase down is good, and it is on 3 down out of
That's
nowhere
it.
for the Warriors. Let's call it for Netroid, doing his best to run and buy time, but there's nothing you can do. Tier 2 is going to be the target for the Dragons. 30 full seconds, and it's just Panatom. Ult's going to be coming up for Panatom.
He's got Blink, he's got beads.
He's got a lot in his toolbox to try and make this work. Mid Phoenix, taken down by the Dragons. They lead by 4 kills. It's 27 minutes. You need a little bit more time if you're Panatom here. Has to go for the knock-up. Is able to find 2 with it. Damage is going to be there. Ult use. The splash is good, but he's just not strong enough alone. And the Dragons are going to win game 2.
Wow, 2-0 for the Dragons off of a great start for the Oni Warriors as well. I mean, of course, you've got Lasper, who is consistently finding first bloods. This Camazotz was a problem, but it really did seem like the Oni Warriors were finding some ways to get aggressive, right? They make their play. They go over to left Phoenix. Genetics goes in. I mean, again, that's a 5v4. Remember, Lasper chose to ignore his team for 2 fights. One of them, I was questioning. I'm like, why are you guys going in when Lasper's not here? The second time, they find a pick. Lasper does show up to the fight, and they're able to chase down the whole way to that Gold Fury.